Hey, what's up guys? Hope everybody's doing well and having a great day. Have I got a video for you guys today. This is unbelievable. What I'm going to share with you has an incredible backstory. It occurred last night. What I'm going to share with you occurred around 9 p.m. My time out here in Arizona. And to be quite honest, I had called it a day, and then something occurred, triggered a series of events that, wow, that's all I can say is wow, wow, wow. What's going on, Hector, Tweez, Kaleidoscope, Lucy, Reggie Reg? What's going on, guys? Got an amazing story to share with you guys. True story that occurred last night. I'm sure there were some other people that saw it as well. Hello from South Carolina, Vancouver, in British Columbia. Hello, Carol S. Lee. There's my moderator. Always on the job. Thank you, moderator. Ancient, but still here. Just saying hi to everybody before we get started. I do have some really fascinating video footage, pictures to share with you guys. This has happened before. Kimberly Strasberg, new Star family member. If you guys would be interested in becoming Star family members, I'm going to mention it real quick. You can do so in the link provided down below in the description box. That would be really cool. I thank you in advance. Yeah, last night was a night to remember. I've had people tell me here, and I actually started in 2022, about seeing an object next to the moon. And then we had a flurry of videos in, well, December of this past year, just a few weeks ago, of what looked like an object in the sky next to the moon. We saw one in the daytime out of Washington, D.C. Young lady was filming something, looked like a big boomerang in the sky. It went towards the moon, and then what showed up in the video, what looked like a version of the moon. It all started in, hello Martha from Kenbridge, Virginia. Faith for Grace, how you doing? Thanks for stopping by. Check this out. Remember, we're going to come back to this story, but this is a true story. A young lady, Mandy, out of Cochise County, Arizona, saw that in the sky in 2022, November of 2022, near the moon. She saw it at like 2:51 a.m. Woke up her entire family to come outside and see it. That's how real this thing was. It was hard to photograph from her perspective. But she saw it. That's the photograph right there that she shared with me, and it did have what looked like a crater on it. Well, guess what? We saw it last night right out here in Arizona again. No joke. No joke. I'm going to tell you the whole story, the whole thing, start to finish. It's all true. Yeah, you should have seen. I was walking down the street last night. Yeah, in my flip-flops, pair of shorts, at 9 o'clock at night. It's dark. In fact, one of the neighbors saw me. They probably thought I was sleepwalking or something. You know, I'm walking down walking down the road with my phone up in the air. In astonishment, absolute astonishment. We're going to come back and look at that amazing video footage and photos here in just a moment. I'm going to show you guys the incredible backstory. What's up, Jonathan Pope from the United Kingdom? I'd like to kick it with you guys for a minute. I never get to talk to you when we have a chance here in the live streams. I know some people get mad at me for it, but, you know, I'm sorry. I like to say hi to Ad B. No, I'm not joking, Ad B. Actually saw it last night near the moon. And it was big, it was round, and then guess what? After we saw it long enough to get footage, and then next thing you know, saw some black triangles. One for sure, possibly two, and then this thing kind of disappeared, but we saw it ourselves. But it actually was kind of eerie looking, I'm going to be honest. Just like Mandy said from southern Arizona, she saw it in late 2022, and she said it looked kind of eerie, and she's right. She's exactly right. It had craters on it. You're going to be able to see the craters in some video footage that I took of it as I'm walking down the street, literally in gym shorts and a tank or a t-shirt. I was not prepared for some rogue object next to the moon. I'd actually already laid down for the night. But anyway, we're going to come back to that here in just a moment. We had a large solar flare yesterday. I want to touch on a couple of things real quick, and then we'll get to the featured content of this video. But I want to share these things. I always try to keep up with the sun and what's happening with the sun and the Schumann resonance. It's something that I've always followed for years, and I probably always will. Yesterday we saw a very long duration. See this long spike right here, this tall peak, and then it kind of spans out. That's a long duration solar flare, and that just so happened to be an M6. It was slightly Earth directed. A component of it was, not all of it. It was on the west, right here, you can see part of it right there, the west limb of the sun. You're going to see a very good example right there. Those are known as flux ropes. And that's a magnetic connection, a positive and negative charge that forms a loop. And there's several loops there making up that canopy. And that's where the M flare originated from, is that active region and sunspot was turning away from the Earth. That was a big flare. It sent a shock wave through the solar system that was absorbed by the Earth in the ionosphere, as you're going to see here in just a second right there. There's this shock wave that is still interacting with the ionosphere. It's called a proton storm, a particle acceleration event, and the Earth is surrounded by these charged particles right now. So are satellites and everything in the vicinity of the Earth, and not only just the Earth, the entire solar system. So when these things happen, they affect other planets too. So we're not really concerned about that because it doesn't pertain to us. But yeah, there was a large solar flare less than 24 hours ago that is still interacting with the Earth. Looking at the Earth-facing side of the sun, you wouldn't think so, right? Not too much going on. For the most part, it's blank, but that's going to change. Here in about 24 hours, we're going to see another active region right up here in the northeastern quadrant of the sun turning towards the Earth. That looks pretty good size. I mean, there's at least 3 sunspots there. They look fairly close together, so they could be active. We'll just have to wait and see. But right now, honestly, the Earth-facing side of the sun's very quiet. Here's the ionosphere D region, again, still reacting to the large M-class solar flare that, for all intents and purposes, wasn't even Earth-directed. Wow. You can tell we're in solar maximum. Looking at the Schumann resonance, a lot of people are sensitive to the spikes in the Schumann and can totally tell when the Schumann's off the charts. And right now, it is not off the charts. It's been pretty quiet. It's been very quiet now for, to be honest, a couple of weeks. Looking at the upcoming solar eclipse, 69 days and 16 hours. Are you serious? One of the greatest solar eclipses, at least of our generation. This is going to include an ancient time traveler. A comet is inbound right now as I do this video. Check on it every day. Yes, it's still there according to the NASA JPL. Comet 12P Pons-Brooks is inbound. Perihelion date, guess what? April 8th of 2024, the same day as the solar eclipse of the sun, the total solar eclipse. So we're going to be in the path of totality to see this comet join the sun for the solar eclipse. This should be one for the record books and will probably go down in history as one of the most photogenic solar eclipses ever. I don't think I can ever recall one being associated with a comet that could be a very active comet, because once it gets close to the sun, it's going to start reacting to the solar wind, and the solar wind could cause this volcanic comet to erupt in the sky above the Earth as we're watching the eclipse. I mean, this could go nuts. It really could. So we're going to be in the path of totality somewhere in here, whether it be Montreal, up in Maine. We may be in Maine. We may be in Ohio, New York, Cleveland, Indianapolis. We might be in Southern Illinois. We might be in Missouri. Somewhere in the path of 100% totality. Dallas, Fort Worth, Tyler, Texas. Where we're at over here in Phoenix, we're looking at 60 to maybe 65%. That's the best view that we're going to have here. Here's the thing, though. You're going to be able to see it anywhere in North America, at least some component of the eclipse, whether it be 65%, 70%, 80%, 90%. I mean, some people are going to have 95%. but right through the center of the United States and parts of Mexico, and then up into far eastern Canada. You guys got the best seat in the world. You really do. So we're waiting on day 10. And when it gets down to day 10, we can get a 10-day forecast. And we're going to go to the location that has the least clouds. We want a nice, clear day. We're going to do a live stream from the center of the path of totality. So look for that. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you have not, if you're a current subscriber, by all means, double check. Make sure you're still subscribed. Make sure the bell is activated so you'll get notified for future videos. And then, of course, the eclipse that's coming up in April. That could be one of the most historic eclipses ever. No kidding. I don't remember an eclipse ever having a hyperactive comet next to the sun as the sun dives into darkness. Are you serious? You can't make this stuff up. Just like last night. You can't make this stuff up. What I'm about to tell you is real. It's a true story. It happened last night. I believed our friend Mandy from southern Arizona when she told me that she saw something next to the moon back in November of 2022. I believed her 100%. I could tell in her voice she wasn't making it up. You don't let your dog out in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom and then all of a sudden see something up in the sky that triggers a response like what she did. She went inside, woke up her entire family, her 2 children, teenage children, and her husband to come outside and look at what she was looking at in the nighttime sky. This is a view of the sky from November of 2022. I'm showing you this is because I saw the same thing last night. Me and my family saw it, totally unprepared for what we saw last night in the sky. And yes, you're going to see that dark feature right there, just like what Mandy saw back in 2022. I interviewed Mandy. I shared the video. It's on the YouTube channel. I'm not going to go over the entire interview again. I know most of you have probably heard it. It's 11, almost 12 minutes long, and it's worth every second if you haven't heard it, because she describes in detail. You can hear the enthusiasm in her voice, what she saw in the sky, and she observed it for about an hour. And this is at like 2:51, 3 o'clock in the morning. We saw this thing or something very similar to it last night. And here's the backstory, guys. You want the story? Here we go. And then something else happened after we saw this thing in the sky, whatever it was. It kind of reminds me of what Mandy saw and her entire family from down in Arizona. We saw it last night. I know we couldn't have been the only people that saw this thing because it was huge. I'm going to give you the story, 100% true. My wife and son were over at my daughter's house, okay? And they went over there in the evening time, early evening, and I was here at home doing some things around the house. And to be quite honest, I just kind of called it a day, not completely, but I'd laid down and started watching TV. I was in for the night. Well, my wife calls me around 9 o'clock, 9:05, and she says, you got it. They were on their way home. She sent me a text about 8:55. She said, on our way home. I said, okay, see you in a bit. Well, then the phone rings, and my son's on the phone, and they're very excited, you know. They're like, you got to go outside and look at the moon. Go outside and look at the moon. And I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? Go out and look at the moon. Go out and look at the moon. There's something next to the moon. They were driving home from my daughter's house back to our house. And as they were driving, the moon had just came up over the horizon in the eastern sky. And I'm like, okay, I'm on it. They said, hurry, go look. There's this big round object next to the moon. And I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me. And I could tell by the tone of their voice, just like the tone of Mandy's voice, you know, they were seeing something. So I got up. I grabbed my phone, of course. I go out the front. Actually, I go out the garage, open the garage door, put on my flip-flops, and here I am. And as soon as I got out on the driveway, I looked east, and I saw it. There it was. No joke. It was round, it was big, and you could see dark features on it, and it was dull, just like Mandy was describing from southern Arizona. So I start walking at I wasn't running, but I was walking very fast down the sidewalk. This is a view that my wife and son took as they were driving down one of the main thoroughfares coming home. Okay, and this is what they looked up and saw in the sky. The moon obviously was tucked in over here. It wasn't a full moon. The full moon was back on the, what, 26th, 25th, somewhere around in there, 25th, I think. So this is the moon in the eastern sky. Over in this area, there's nothing but mountains. Like Tonto National Forest is way out in this area here. And I say that because there's no factories or anything like that. That is just all open range for the, not open range, but I'm just saying mountains, Tonto National Forest, and things like that. This is not a reflection. You can see reflections on the glass of the car, and I talk to you guys about that all the time, about when you're recording from inside of a car, it's going to get light contamination. And sure enough, this video is no different. It has light contamination. You can see it right there, and you can see it right here. But that's not interfering with what they saw in the sky. I saw it too. 100% real. And here's the thing. Something else appeared in the sky. One for sure, maybe two very large black triangles, and then this thing went rogue. You couldn't see it anymore. And it's like, wait a minute, man, this thing was huge. And then within a matter of a few minutes, it disappears completely. Okay, this is them driving down the road. Obviously, they're filming through the windshield of the car, but they were looking at that in the sky next to the moon. I was looking at it at the same time they were driving down the road. I'm walking down the sidewalk at a furious pace. And the reason I'm walking so fast is I'm trying to get away from the neighbors' lights on their house that were interfering with my camera. I needed a good clear view, but I could see this thing off in the distance. It was big, it was round, it was dull. It was just like Mandy described from southern Arizona, and you could see a dark feature on this thing, and you're going to be able to see it in this video footage. In fact, you can kind of see it right there. This was next to the moon last night at exactly 9:08 p.m. Arizona time. I was surprised I didn't get any email today involving this thing because, it wasn't visible very long. If my wife and son hadn't been out traveling, coming home, they probably wouldn't have seen it either. But the moon's right here. Here's this thing, whatever it was. It reminds me so much of what Mandy was describing from southern Arizona. And I would have never thought in 100,000 years I would have ever seen this thing. Even though I'm a sky guy, I am very much so. I am very drawn to the sky. I wouldn't have been out and about, you know. I just wouldn't have. I was already in for the night. I'm glad they were, because I'm telling you, you're going to see my video footage here in just a second. This is their video footage as they're driving down the road. And I've worked the video footage. That was the original. Here I've kind of just adjusted the lighting and color, and that is definitely 1000% not glare. This is right here. That little white thing that looks like a, I don't know, caterpillar or whatever. That's definitely glare on the windshield, so is this over here too. This was in the sky. I saw it at the same time I was walking down the sidewalk, basically in my pajamas. I had, well, they were gym shorts and a t-shirt, but here we go. This is me, okay? This is same night, last night, 3 minutes later, different location. By the time I grabbed my phone, got out the front door, walked down the sidewalk, it was about 3 minutes after they called me. But I immediately saw it when I got outside. No joke. There you go. So the neighbor's house directly across me, I was trying to get away from there was more lights back you can't see. I got away from those. These lights kind of interfered a little bit, but not too bad. The other lights were terrible. So I took off walking down the sidewalk at a fast pace without running. I didn't want the neighbors to think something was wrong, even though there was something very cool in the sky. I don't know what was going on. You're going to see what looks like triangles here in a minute. It almost looks as if the triangles block this thing's view from being visible. It was just a weird sequence of events. Okay, 9:08 p.m. last night. I took this video. I can't believe I did, but I did. I took this video. I never thought I would see something like this next to the moon. I worked the video. You're going to be able to see like a dark crater or two on this thing. When I first saw it, it was big and it was round. And it was much bigger than the moon. No joke. And it was perfectly round. This is my video footage right here, and I'm trying to get away from the light, and I did manage to get away from some of the light in the neighborhood. That's the thing about being in the cities like this. You know, you get so much light interference when you're trying to look at the night sky. The night sky is actually loaded with what look like jewels, and those of us in the city, we can't see that. Okay, but here it is in an entirely inverted format. You can see there was something over there, right? Well, once this thing became visible, then you started noticing, and my son saw it too, he was totally taken back by a large black triangle that he saw, and he said, "Dad, I saw it turn." And I can just tell by the way he was, you know, relaying this, what his encounter was. You know, my wife took a picture of him looking at it. You're going to be able to see a black triangle in the sky, and I think the triangle camouflages this thing so you couldn't see it. And then there's some other things that kind of randomly that appear very, very quickly that you don't see now. You're going to see them here in a minute, and then this thing just disappears. And it's like, what just happened? You're going to be able to see craters on this thing. I worked this video footage over and over and over to where you're going to see craters on that thing. You're going to see something hiding over here in the darkness. You can't see it now, right? You're going to be able to see a ship right over here. There was a ship sitting here in the darkness, guys. Guys, I work images and videos. I have for years. I've got some techniques that I use. I can remove darkness out of videos without just oversaturating them and still not disturb any possible physical features in the sky. It's something I've taught myself over the years, and it worked this time. There's a structure sitting right over here. You're gonna see it here in just a minute. I took this video last night walking down the sidewalk. Actually, I'd gotten down to the end of the sidewalk, and this thing just kind of appeared. I don't know, my wife and son saw it, called me. I go outside, and I was like, whoa, man. It was big, it was round, and it looked totally out of place. If you look, you can kind of see what looks like a triangle craft up here, just kind of hovering over the scene. Let me share something with you guys that's true. There was a lunar eclipse back in, I want to say 2017 or 2018, and we were viewing it, and a family member looked at me at the same time I looked at him, and he said, "Did you see that?" And I said, "You talking about that black triangle?" And he said, "Yeah, I saw it, I saw it." He was super excited. He looked up during the lunar eclipse, and we both saw a black triangle just sitting in the sky watching it looked like it was watching the eclipse. It was near the moon. So to see something like that doesn't surprise me at all because I've seen it before. But this is the object that was near the moon. Again, it looked totally out of place. It had almost an eerie feeling about it. It really did. And it reminded me of what Mandy saw from southern Arizona. It was like, wow, this is maybe what she was talking about. Okay, this is another view of this thing that appeared in the sky. And guys, it was real. That's all I can tell you. What it was, where it came from, I don't know. But you're going to start to see black triangles. You're going to see lines appear in the sky. And then this thing goes out of sight. You don't see it anymore. It was only visible for just a few minutes, and then it was gone. So I don't really... I don't know. I'm just being honest with you. It had kind of an eerie feeling about it. It really did. Mandy was right. You can see how bright the moon is. This thing's not bright at all. But it does have some dark surface features, just like Mandy said. Look below it. See right there? Coming into the field of view. Do you see that? You're going to see another image of a perfect black triangle entering the field of view, and it's almost like the black triangle blocked this thing out somehow. Oh yeah, it was a wild sequence of events there for about 20 minutes. It's like, yo, what is going on? Notice the dark feature on this thing. There's a couple of dark features on that thing. Don't know. You're going to see a craft over here. Just watch. You're going to see another craft, and it's not something that's you know, it's a craft. It's an intelligently designed craft sitting over here to the right. You can't see it now, but you're going to be able to see it here in just a minute. You're going to see a black triangle, maybe two, enter the field of view, and this thing just kind of is not visible anymore. And it's like, hey, wait a minute, what happened? Okay, here you go. You can see like some dark features on this thing. That reminds me exactly of what Mandy was talking about. See that thing right there? That's what Mandy saw in the sky. Did we see the same thing, just from a different angle? That's what Mandy saw. 2022, November. January 2024. Looks like it could be the same thing. Let's continue on. So I'm standing out here, 9:08 p.m. My wife and son are on their way home. They actually stopped because they're like, wait a minute, there's a triangle up there. So they stopped, took a photo and some video of the triangle, maybe two triangles in the sky. Here's this thing in a different format. I worked at to the very best of my ability because this was a super rare moment that I'm like the eclipse coming up, a once in a lifetime event. Probably I've never seen anything like this ever. And like Mandy, you know, she saw it that one time, and just like this here, this was by total chance. You're going to see a craft over here. I'll show it to you here in a minute. You can't see it now, but I'm going to pull it forward. There was something sitting over there observing this whole situation, whatever was going on. Okay, here's the triangles. I put an S in apostrophe because there may be two. Okay, this thing, you saw it, it was big, it was very obvious, you couldn't miss it. It was only there, only visible for just a few minutes. Now, they're still driving home, right? I'm still over at my location looking at these triangles now, too. Listen, check this out. And you can see one right there. Watch.
It actually looks like a triangle up there now.
Okay.
It's weird.
She said it, that was my wife, she said it looks like a triangle up there now. So they pull over. Now listen, they don't just pull over and start taking pictures of the sky unless something really prompts their curiosity. Okay, so they'd seen the round thing, called me. I got up, went outside, starting looking. I was taking photos myself, and my phone wasn't working right at first. I don't know why it wasn't working right. It was on some sort of weird, and maybe you guys are familiar with it. It was on a slow motion setting. How does your phone get on a slow motion setting? I didn't put it on a slow motion setting. So I'm out there fiddling with that. They pull over when they start to see what looked like a triangle. My son's standing here looking at a triangle in the sky. And he said, Dad, I saw it turn. And he's never, ever, ever done anything like this. He's interested in the sky. He gets it honestly, but he's not obsessed with it. He's never outside looking around and stuff like that. He was looking at what appeared to be a triangle over here, coincidentally in the same location as that object was just at, that's no longer visible. He said he saw the triangle move. And there may have been two triangles here. I think there's one over here on the left that we just can't see because of the tree branches there. The green things are just light glare and stuff like that. But there's the moon. The object was right there where what looks like a triangle's at right now. Coincidence? I don't think so. Okay, so did the triangle block the view of this object? Sure looks like it, right? Here's the moon. Here's the triangle. Here's the moon, and there's the object that's no longer visible. Got all kinds of stuff going on over here now, but no object. And there's a black triangle that they actually pulled over to get a picture of because they could see it so good from their location. I could see some things in the sky from my location, but it looks like over here, the triangles just made this thing not visible anymore, and maybe it wasn't supposed to be visible. I'm sure it probably wasn't. Now back to my location. All of a sudden, there's a big increase in activity over here near the moon, or in the, you guys know what I'm talking about. See all the squiggly, the lines and things like that, and one looks like a big pyramid in the sky, and right there is where that object was visible, right in this area here. And when I first walked outside, this thing looked big and looked perfectly round, and it was in the same location as what looks like a pyramid in the sky right now. But over here to the right, there's something that you can't see. I'm going to show it to you guys here in a minute. There's a craft over here to the right taking in all of this action over here. Oh yeah, sure enough, you're going to see it here in just a minute. It's some sort of it's not an octagon, but and then this is a video that I took. The quality's not that great. I apologize. That's the best I could do. It was like I was trying not to over zoom because I know what that does, but I was just trying to capture the moment. You can see there was a lot of activity that appeared over there very, very quickly with respect to the lines, things like that. And then here's another large craft that arrives. This is the one that I was talking about. Notice over here to the right. Remember when I was explaining over there, everything's dark and there's something over here, right? Well, check it out. Here we go. There's another craft that was sitting over there in the dark. Check it out. Here we go. Another large craft arrives. This thing may have been there all along. Check it out. That's the moon in the same location. And this is the same time. This is probably within 3 or 4 minutes of me seeing the big object that had dark surface features on it. Just exactly like Mandy was describing from southern Arizona. Check it out over here on the right. See it? That's not a chance natural object. That's something of intelligent origin. Look at that thing. You're going to see it even better here in a second. There you go. See it sitting there? Pretty good size object, just kind of sitting there in the dark, taking it all in. Couldn't see it. Couldn't see it at all until I started removing the layers of darkness, and then there it is. There's a side, there's the top, and there's the bottom. Just kind of sitting there, making sure that whatever that thing was wasn't visible anymore. But it was visible, and we saw it. And like I said, I would have never thought in 100,000 years would have ever seen that. And of all nights, last night. Wow. Okay, so see the object over here? This wasn't visible at all. I didn't see it until I started working the video footage. And yes, there was a big object sitting over there in the dark, very, very quiet, had no lights, wasn't making any noise. Here's what looks like a big pyramid, but there was a lot of activity all of a sudden. Once that thing was visible, then all of a sudden you see all this stuff going on, and then all of a sudden it's not visible. And I'm talking within a matter of less than 5 or 6 minutes. It was no longer visible. I think it was still there. It was just no longer visible. And I was still in the same location. And the location that I just showed you right over here to the right of the screen is where that invisible craft is sitting, right there. That big craft was sitting over there to the right. And right here in these photos, you have no idea it's there. No idea it's there. And it's sitting right here. Right there it's sitting. And I had no idea. I'm focused on the moon and what's happening over here in the front of the moon now. All these lines appearing, just whoosh, one after another after another. And there's a craft sitting over here the entire time. I had no idea it was there. Are you serious? Yes, I'm serious. 100% true. I'm telling you, when I first saw that thing, no joke, it had an eerie presence about it. It really did. It just looked so out of place. You could have interpreted it, like if you just glanced up at it, absolutely you would interpret it as a rogue planet. Absolutely. Could it have been interpreted as another dark moon? Absolutely it could have. And it wasn't visible very long. And even with this picture here, and again, you got to keep in mind, we're trying to take pictures with cell phones. Cell phones do a pretty good job, like if you're just doing, family gatherings or, taking pictures in the backyard or whatever, maybe of your car. But they're just not, they're decent. But, you don't get the best photos, especially when you're talking super contrast, like a very bright object in the very dark sky. The pictures just don't turn out that good. It was much more visible than what you're seeing right here. Trust me. You could see features on this thing. They were dark, just exactly like Mandy said from southern Arizona. That thing right there, yes, it looked very similar to that. Yes, absolutely. It had dark features on it, just like Mandy said. But this one wasn't visible for very long. Mandy said she observed the one that she saw from southern Arizona. She observed it for nearly an hour. And our entire event maybe lasted 6 minutes. At least it was with regard to visibility. Now notice, I want you to notice something, guys. Check it out. Notice right here, see that little peak? See the peak right there? See what goes up to a peak in a straight line? And then a peak in a straight line. I think that's that triangle coming into the field of view, getting ready to block the field of view. There was a large triangle over here. In fact, there may have been two, and then there was one over here to the right. and I think it blocked it out until it was no longer, obviously no longer visible. And then everybody just went back home. It's like, okay, I don't know what just happened, but it was kind of cool, whatever it was. And it really was kind of cool. I have to admit, I've never seen anything like that. And as I was walking down the sidewalks, I'm trying to get away from the houses, the light pollution, and obviously I couldn't. You can see these lights here. Good grief. So if I would have been in a dark outside of town, you could have got an excellent view of this thing. But I did the very best I could with what I had to work with. We're taking pictures on the fly with smartphones in our gym shorts and slides on a sidewalk, trying to get away from light pollution. That was the very best that would come out. And then my phone wasn't even working right. It was on some sort of weird slow motion mode. So I finally got it fixed where it was just regular video mode and photo mode. But there was something in the sky visible temporarily last night between, let's say, 9:05 and 9:08. My metadata on my photos and videos were primarily 9:08. My video was like 15, 18 seconds long, and then I took multiple photos. I was trying to, zoom in and get away from these lights, and the lights were actually a lot worse than that. I went down the street. I went down to the end of the block. Yeah, I was just so baffled by this thing. I couldn't believe what I was looking at in the sky. No joke. I couldn't believe it. I mean, I could. I've heard of other people seeing it, taking photos of it. They show up in photos. Mandy's experience from southern Arizona. My son sitting here mystified at this triangle that he saw turn in the sky. He said he saw it turn. Not just sit there, he saw it turn. And I'm telling you, it's not typical for him to be sitting here staring at the sky like that. I mean, he's a teenage boy. He's not really, that drawn to the sky, but he was last night because something was going on in the sky. He was very drawn to the sky. So was my wife, and like I said, I went outside, saw it myself, got the video footage here. They got video footage there. We did the very best we could with what we had to work with in the time frame that we had to work with. And then those things showed up, whatever they are, and you couldn't see it anymore. But it was there. It was big. It was highly visible. I'm sure it probably wasn't supposed to be, but it was. It looked like a rogue planet. Looked like a rogue moon. It didn't look like anything I'd ever seen before in our skies. Ever. No. Never, ever. It did have surface features on it that were dark, just like Mandy described from southern Arizona. In fact, I thought I was looking at the same exact thing that she saw right there. And there's a photo that she took of it because it was so hard to see. She stayed outside and looked at it for nearly an hour before it disappeared. But, at 3 o'clock in the morning, there's not too many people out looking at the sky. But she saw it from southern Arizona, and she described that dark feature in the middle or somewhere on that thing. And I saw it too. There was a dark feature on that object last night. And then coincidentally, before this sighting that we had, this encounter in Arizona, before all of that took place, and here's another, I just worked these just a little different than I did. This is that craft that was kind of hiding over in the dark. You couldn't see it. You had no idea it was there. But this was off to the right of the moon. These are just different modifications of the original photo that I took. Obviously, of the moon. I didn't know that thing was sitting over there, but there it is. Once I removed the darkness, there's your craft sitting in the sky. And it was just kind of taking it all in. There it is again. That's undeniable. There's something there. There's something that's pretty good size. So I wanted to share that with you. But here's the thing. I might even put the picture, one of the pictures from the video on the homepage of the website today. It was quite the event. And this occurred last night around 9 o'clock Arizona time. But check this out. Over in California and along the East Coast down in Florida, check this out. Before and after this whole event took place, this was spotted by my friend Wendy Silver over in Marina Del Rey, California. She looked up and saw this in the sky. An hour later, after what we had experienced with the whole moon thing, this happened around 10 o'clock Wendy's time. Well, this would have been like a couple of hours after what we saw, but there was a rocket launch over in California, and that's what she saw going above her location in Marina Del Rey. Once again, this was sent in by Wendy Silver from last night at 9:59 p.m. California time. But check this out. This isn't the only person that saw this in the sky. Wendy observed it just briefly, and then you're going to see another observation from San Diego, just south of Wendy's location. She's talking about the camera quality. I know, I dealt with the camera quality too. It's like, I don't know, sometimes these cameras just don't do real great on nighttime skies. It just depends on maybe the weather conditions. I don't know, but they did the best they could. They did a good job, okay? They saw what looked like a rocket. Check this out. Now we're going to San Diego. And this appears in the sky just south of Wendy, which it was traveling from north to south. Trevor looks up and sees this in the sky. So we've got all this stuff going on with the moon. We've got multiple rocket launches occurring within hours of what we just saw near the moon. And I know these rocket launches happen all the time, okay? But it's not very often that we have one on the East Coast and West Coast, and we see a large object next to the moon from Arizona in between both of these rocket launches. This is supposedly a Falcon 9 that's visible from San Diego by Trevor at 9:59 p.m. At 9:08 p.m. Arizona time, we were looking at something very mysterious in the vicinity of the moon, and there was a craft hiding next to the moon. There was a triangle next to the moon. Now we've got rocket launches occurring within hours of this event that we saw over in Arizona. And Trevor observed this rocket. I'm assuming that's what this is, but it looks like it dives into the ocean. Check this out. I put it in fast forward because the video's over for almost 5 minutes long, and he observed, he shared the entire video with me, okay? But I put it in fast forward. This thing just kept going and going and going. I mean, it went on for the longest time. So you would think, okay, this thing's going to be going up and away. No, it does not. It heads downward out towards the ocean. Check it out. It's just I don't know. It's just mystifying. He's still following this thing, and I'm assuming, I looked it up, and it said that there was indeed a Falcon 9 rocket launch last night. I'll share it with you here in just a moment. But look how it goes down. It goes down behind the tree line. Why do rockets go down behind tree lines? And I've seen that personally over here in Arizona. I saw a rocket launch come from California, Vandenberg Air Force Base. It flew over Arizona, and it went down towards the desert in the southern Arizona, part of the southern Arizona desert between here and Tucson. It went in a downward motion like that. I was just like very puzzled. I'm expecting it to go up, and it went down. But anyway, supposedly that was a Falcon 9. I did do some research, and it says second Falcon 9 of the night. So what are the odds of me and my family seeing something next to the moon that looked like a moon or something with craters on it, and then on the same night there were two, not one, two Falcon 9 rocket launches, one from the West Coast and one from the East Coast, on both sides of this mysterious object that we saw in the sky. One rocket launch prior and one rocket launch right after we saw this weirdness in the sky near the moon. I don't know, guys. Again, you know, I've said it before. I'll say it again. TJ Daly, what's going on, man? Thanks for the Star family member, TJ Star family member. Guys, you can't make this stuff up. I wouldn't anyway. I don't have time to make stuff up. But you know, I will say this. If you pay attention to the sky, and I will say that my family members do, they pay attention to the sky, you know. I do too. Something I've done for years. I've just been very drawn to the sky, like most of you guys. I know you're drawn to the sky as well. But like I said last night, I was not in any way, shape, or form expecting something like that. Not at all. But it happened. 100% true. What exactly occurred, you know, we're still trying to understand what we saw. The only thing that I can come up with is that we saw something similar to what Mandy saw back in 2022. And I shared videos in December of last year of mysterious sightings of things in the sky near the moon. And wouldn't you know it, it shows up again, it looks like, out here in Arizona of all places. And this occurred last night on January 28th of 2024. Wow. Yeah, it was weird. And I got to admit, when I first walked out and looked at that thing, I was actually speechless. And I've seen a lot of things in the sky, guys, without looking. I've never once set out and looked for things in the sky. These things show up when you least expect it, just like last night, but no different. Laying there watching TV, and then boom, next thing we know, we've got a secondary moon in the sky above Arizona. Are you serious? So, did anybody else see this thing? I believe you, Sheila. Sheila, yeah, it's 100% true. I don't have time to make stuff up. Trust you me. I'm a very busy man. I've got a lot of email to get through, and I thank you guys for all the email and Dropbox material. You guys are wonderful. Keep it coming, man. Keep it coming. The Traveler, Don, Kron, Vintage Soul. What's going on, guys? Thanks for spending part of your Monday with me. I hope you enjoyed our experience that we encountered last night. The footage you see is 100% real. I took this video myself, and my wife and son took that video right there. Something mysterious showed up in the sky near the moon, and then it disappeared, what seemed like behind a big pyramid or triangle in the sky, right? But over here, off in the distance, that in the darkness of the sky, you can't see anything over there, right? There's nothing there, right? Ah, no, there is something there, and it's this thing right there that was watching the whole time. And nobody knew the wiser. It was just sitting over there. Big old, what looked like a rectangle in the sky, was taking in the whole show. And nobody knew. Isn't that something? A lot of activity last night that occurred between 9 o'clock and 9:15 Arizona time. Very, very mysterious, and it's just another layer of this mystery that we see on a daily basis now. We see mysterious things in the day and nighttime sky. And I've got more mysterious things that I'm sharing with you guys that have been sent in here recently. In the day and nighttime sky, I got a file of weird things that I want to share with you guys that have been sent in. Probably, I would be safe, I think it'd be safe to say it'd be the weirdest lemon you've ever seen in your life. And I don't usually go out on a limb like that, but I'm going to now. And I'm going to probably do that video tomorrow. This will be the weirdest lemon you've ever seen in your life. And I want you to hold me to it. I'll share that video with you guys tomorrow. And if you've seen one weirder, and I'll show you the video tomorrow. If you've seen one weirder, you just let me know. But tomorrow, you're going to see the weirdest lemon you've ever seen in your entire life. I'm almost 100% sure of it. But anyway, guys, that is all I have for today. We noticed something mysterious in the sky near the moon at 9:08 p.m. from Arizona, southeast Phoenix, Arizona on January 28th of 2024. All right, guys, that's all I got for today. Thanks for watching. Have a super day, and be safe out there.